Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm King Sway, and welcome back to King Sway Entertainment. Today, we have weird but interesting discoveries. Elden Ring lore hunting. Another Agent Jake video because I like Agent Jake, and as I've been saying, sometimes he takes his videos down, and then my channel is the only place where you can see that shit. Well, I don't know that it's just my channel, but I know I react to his shit because more than one time someone said, yo, this is the only place I can find it. So, other reactionary channels out there, please help. I'm hungry. So shit, let's jump into this.
The world of Elden Ring is full of interesting mysteries. It's how the game was designed, and how From Software designs all of their games. They use environmental storytelling to have the players and the community make theories on what certain things mean and what they connect to. The lore of Elden Ring was and still is being heavily researched, and theories are coming out like wildfire from so many amazing creators and enthusiasts of the game. So
And you're
much
wrong
so
about
that
that.
it's overwhelming to put all of that
Assholes,
information
bitch ass.
together into a somewhat understandable plotline. While the main aspects of the story are pretty clear to
Let's do
understand, the
sex.
details of the world that we'll talk about in this video will definitely
I know. Normally, okay. My man got messed up. Plus, to do sex. My man is missing two heads, part of his tail, some horns, and he's missing a set of wings. Whoever fought him fucked him up. I mean, like, if you really look at him, there's spots where two other heads are supposed to go. Now, taking into consideration that a lot of the bosses you fight are in a weakened state. Radon was in a weakened state. Melania was in a weakened state. And Placiducex is in a weakened state. I can't say a lot of them, but there are big ones that are in weakened states. And you can only imagine how much more powerful they would have been if we'd have fought them in their prime. How much harder that boss fight would have been. I'm actually geared towards that because I beat Radon before the patch. If you know, you know. I beat Radon before the patch.
definitely lead to more questions than answers. So let's take a look at some interesting finds together, and we'll discuss in the comments what we think they could mean. Some of these finds are just interesting and really have nothing to do with the story, but some of them could lead to connections within the story. If you have any interesting finds that you'd like to point out, you can join our Discord and discuss it there. You can message me on Twitter or Instagram, or again, just comment down below. So let's get into it. The first thing I'd like to discuss are the isolated towers. Most people have found that when observed from the map or from the sky, the towers create a circle when linked together. But when looking at the outside of each tower, you'll notice that the left side is sort of distorted. I originally thought that this distorted side of the tower pointed toward Farum Azula, but that doesn't seem to be consistent with all of the towers. There also seems to be a missing tower located near the capital city. The lead up and entrance through this area is almost exactly similar to that of other Divine Tower locations.
I know that area. It's you can get warped there. And then there's this golem there that if you kill it, it stays dead. Like it's going forever. And there's another warp point off to the left, and there's I don't remember what the treasure chest is, but it's off to the right. I'm sorry, I'm excited because door hunting. I'm like, I know that area. That and there's an elevator that goes up once you get to Lando. So.
However, that path abruptly ends, sort of like it was scraped completely off of the hill. This could be the original location of the isolated tower, and from this tower, Farum Azula can be seen out in the distance. It is known that Farum Azula used to hover above Limgrave and Stormvale Castle. Farum Azula then moved out to the far east. Maybe the tornado ripped off the isolated tower and then somehow placed it in the middle of the sea on its way to its present location. Or this could have been the location of Miquella's Divine Tower that we currently don't know the location of yet. Although what's more likely is that Miquella and Melania share a Divine Tower since they're twins, just like Morgott and Mo. Also regarding Farum Azula, I thought it was somewhat interesting that the layout of Farum Azula is the same from a distance as it is when we are actually there. I've had a theory that Farum Azula, when we are sent there, is outside the present time of when we are in the lands between throughout the rest of the game. Even if
I
that
don't
may
agree
or
with that.
may not be the case, the layout is the same. Not rendered very well, obviously, but we can see the Great Bridge leading up to Malekith's boss room. I've also been spending a lot of time listening to certain sound effects throughout the game. I've literally been running around playing the game with only sound effects turned all the way up, with everything else turned down. The most interesting sound I've heard so far is from the Elden beast, which gives off a very distinct bass-boosted sound that gives me vibes of interstellar space, which fits the theme of the boss perfectly.
Yeah,
Take a
because
listen.
getting from Earth.
Now, I'm sure this has already been seen or mentioned somewhere out there, but the Elden Beast character model goes far below the boss arena with a very long tail that has some golden roots growing off the end of it. This is obviously for when it leaps up into the air, but I found it interesting that they kept that part of the model fully rendered at all times. Small but weird find for this area as well is if we move the camera far above the arena, we can see the platform that we fight against Radagon on, still somewhat rendered in, along with a fully rendered summoning pool, the door to the Erd Tree, and a fog gate. They likely have to keep these assets rendered in if the player does use the summoning pool to fight with a friend. As for the fog gate and the door, I have no idea why these are here. Another interesting find about Malenia is that she is more than likely, most definitely, blind. When we enter the boss room before triggering the cutscene, we can see a really good look at how badly her eyes have just been completely taken over by the Scarlet Rot. I'm not entirely sure why it looks so much worse here than it does in the cutscenes. Probably because it's not fully rendered, because the player would never be able to get in this position without
She lost her legs, her arm, her eyes, her
so
booties.
they probably just didn't need to render it. Her blindness could explain why her waterfowl dance is her just flurrying around randomly. It's not like she's panicking, but it's like she doesn't know our exact location, so she flurries her sword around seemingly at random to have a better chance at hitting us. And that seems to work just fine for her most of the time. She's likely tracking us through the rest of the fight based on the sounds we make in the water and just in the boss room altogether. Next thing I want to talk about are the cutscenes for most boss fights in the game. If you didn't know, the cutscenes are generated within the game. They position the player's character model in certain positions, and based on the scene the developers wanted to show, they'll move the characters around to get the best shot for the camera. Sometimes they'll just remove the player's character model altogether since they're just not in the shot for that scene. They'll also sometimes move models in certain positions, floating above the ground just to get a better shot. They'll also change the lighting around for what works better within the frame of that shot. I find all this stuff really interesting for some reason, as it dives into the critical thinking process of the developers and what they were trying to showcase for certain scenes and boss fights. They'll even blur the entire surrounding area when the shot is close up to a character model, which gives a sense of depth to the shot that would otherwise look a bit strange without the blurred background. The Malenia boss fight has a lot of cool examples of this, like I've been showing on screen. Now, I didn't notice this next find till recently, but you can see that Sirash, Godfrey's lion companion, is actually biting down on Godfrey's shoulder during the first phase of the boss fight. Sirash is meant to calm Godfrey when he's fighting so he doesn't abandon his Elden Lord status to fight like the warrior he truly is, like he does in the second phase. So it's interesting to see this calming effect is just the form of Sirash biting down on Godfrey. Another small note is that Godfrey isn't actually holding Morgott in his arms until the cutscene actually starts. They probably didn't think it relevant to do so since he has his back turned to us and wouldn't be in the view of the player till the cutscene actually starts. Also, when we zoom in close on Godfrey's eyes, we can see that they're faded out, and to me, resembled the faded dead eyes of Godwyn in the deeper depths. We know that Godfrey's sight of grace was taken away by Queen Marika, and it's possible his eyes used to have this golden hue, just like when we look into the eyes of Godric, who is another descendant of the golden lineage of Godfrey himself. And while we're on the topic of eyes,
I didn't know that. Okay, look, I play Xbox. I'm not a PC player. But the stuff that these people be finding, it's truly, in my personal opinion, it's truly amazing. Think about it, yeah. And if his grace was, if Godwyn's grace was taken away, what's that mean if he were able to come back? Because remember, he was the first dead. Him and Ronnie. His soul was destroyed while her body was destroyed. But is he who lives in death. And you fight skeletons and things all the time. But that also begs the question of what's moving the skeletons. I know it's magic, but do they have some kind of innate intelligence, or is that somebody else's programming? Because as Fia says, she's going to give old boy a baby. So it's too many questions that I will rest my case for right now.
When we look closely at Gideon's armor set, the eyes throughout the set also have similarities to that of Godwin. The armor set has that same gray, faded out hue to that of Godwin's eyes. It's also known that Godwin's influence, even with the death of his soul, his body is still spreading throughout the lands between. We can see Godwin's eyes in so many different places, and when we think of Gideon being the all-knowing, it would sort of make sense that he'd want eyes all over the world to gain as much knowledge.
Again, that's probably something I'm going to go back in game and check out, because I think I know that area. That's beside the point. Damn. But because Agent Jake did a video that the Beatles, you know, the ones that carry the refreshers for your flasks, and you know the white ones that carry the ashes of war, that they are how Ofnir sees everything. They've got eyes drawn, like eye symbols on their backs, and Godwin's body is extending out. But like I said, if he doesn't have a soul, does he still have some form of intelligence? Now, obviously, no. I don't want to say he still has power, because he's being moved through the Erd Tree, and the Erd Tree itself has its own power. But he's connected to the Erd Tree, and by that I'm asking, since he's connected to the Erd Tree, is it possible for another strong will to control him? Or his soul's gone, but with the energy that's still inside of his body, does his mind still stay intact? Like that's a bunch of questions, and I may never see answers to them. But if you guys got theories, be sure to hit me down below. I will read each and every one of them. This is why I love these lore videos, because too many questions, not enough answers.
Which is possible. This is obviously a bit of a stretch, but nonetheless is still an interesting theory. Last thing I want to talk about today was an interesting find found by Souls creator Zully the Witch, but in regards to Radahn, she found that when you look below the boss arena, when Radahn leaps into the sky, he plunges his horse Leonard below the sand. You can actually see that Leonard tracks your location under the sand, so that Radahn's character model knows where to crash down at the start of his second phase. This is definitely one of the coolest finds I've found in the game so far. Also, when it comes to Radahn, I'm sure it's already widely known that Radahn doesn't have feet. They've either fallen off from the spread of the Scarlet Rot, or scraped off when he drags his feet through the sand for what is likely thousands of years. But if we look a bit closer, we can definitely see a type of fungus surrounding the legs that doesn't have that red hue that is normally representing the Scarlet Rot. There's also some type of webbing connection with the fungus as well. No idea what this could be at this time, but let me know what you think. And that goes for everything we've discussed in this video. And again, you can join our Discord.
Fuck Leonard. Fuck Leonard in his butthole. I say that disrespectfully, because with that information, I'm sitting there like, yo, the horse, man, man, that horse is the biggest fucking narc. Yo, do this attack. I'm gonna track him for you. I got you, cuz. Right, straight. Let's do this. Bros! Don't get me wrong. I understand. Like, if Leonard is the same horse that Radahn has had from beginning to end, and the timeline for the Elden Ring is not known. Like it could be hundreds, if not thousands, of years before the events of the game come up. What I mean by the events of the game is like when we as the player start getting up to do stuff. Immortality magic, effort, but those two, yeah, nah. I guess if I was hanging with somebody hundreds, if not thousands of years, I'd have their back like that too. Because I'm sitting there like, yeah. But we gonna jump.
And message me on Twitter, Instagram, if there's certain interesting findings that you've found and want to discuss. Shout out to my patrons. With the continued support, they get early access to videos with absolutely no ads. So if you're interested in that, check the links down below. Also, I've started a second channel called AgtJake Golf, where I want to start making golf content. I haven't talked about this too much on this channel, but I used to be a professional golfer and unfortunately suffered nerve damage in my right wrist. I haven't played competitively in a few years, but my wrist feels great, and thanks to you guys, I'm now in a position to work from home and have a lot of time to practice. So
I sympathize with that. I used to be a professional fighter. I won a title as of this recording. Now, this recording is actually 4th of July, 2020. October of 2021, and after that, I called it quits. I messed my knee up real bad fighting for so long. I should have started earlier, and I should have got out earlier. I've been doing martial arts since I was 4. As of this recording, I'm 40. No, I'm not joking. I started I did tournaments and things when I was 13, from 13 up to 18, because that's when I was a girl. I'm not even gonna lie, a girl. I ended up marrying that girl, but still a girl. Then we got divorced, and I started training again. I started training and started fighting, and I was 28. Yeah, from 28 to about 40. I did it. It takes a toll on you. For that long, it takes a toll on you. It does. But we have pretty much reached the end of the video, and I don't think those 14 seconds are all that significant. So if you're new to the channel and you like the content, please hit the like and subscribe button, and notification button, and the bell, because that lets me know that you guys are picking up what I've put down. So notice how I did the hammer strike because of Hugh and because of the Elden Ring. Maybe it's just because you can't touch this. Yeah, I just went back to the 80s. Anyway, like I said, it's a free thing for you. It's just pop the button. But for me, it means like the absolute world, because it lets you, like I said, it lets me know you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. It lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. It lets me know to continue with this content, and it lets me know that you guys like me. But in meantime, in between time, I'm always with these peace signs. I'm King Sweat, and I'm gonna catch you in the next one.